Hi, welcome again to the readings from Anansi and the Book of Night. I am the author, RUBADIRI Victor, and we're going to read from chapter 6 today. So if you check the links below, you will see the links for the other 5 chapters and the other 5 readings, so you could go and get abreast of what has happened thus far. So just let me give you a brief synopsis of what has happened thus far. There is a crisis in the kingdom of animals. Animals are disappearing. Bats and bees are the ones that have been disappearing in bulk. Because of this, the food stocks of the kingdom have collapsed because bats and bees are the ones that pollinate the flowers and pollinate the trees and the plants. And because of that, trees and plants can't bear fruit. So there's a crisis in the kingdom. Animals are beginning to starve. Anansi is on the investigation. Anansi begins to realize that there are some animals who are getting fat while some animals are getting slim. She begins to follow the fat animals, observe their behavior. She finds that they're all meeting and shoo-shooing and talking amongst themselves. She also notices that one of the council of elders who leads the kingdom, Brer Hawk, is also putting on weight himself. She follows Brer Hawk one day and he goes to a secret gathering which turns out to be a conspiracy led by Tiger Cat. Remember Tiger Cat? Tiger Cat, who mutters this terrifying phrase that they are about to overthrow King Brer Lion, take the throne and the crown. At that moment, Anansi decides that she is going to follow Tiger Cat. She does so. Tiger Cat wanders to the edge of the forest where the rivers run wild and encounters a mysterious hooded shadow animal and gives the shadow animal something which it hides under its cloak. In return, the shadow animal presents a caravan of vegetables and fruits on carts to Tiger Cat. At that moment, Inquisitive Anansi, Detective Anansi, decides to follow the shadow animal. She follows the shadow animal for hours upon hours until she comes to the edge of a desert where the forest ends. There she sees all the disappeared animals in chains being led by other shadow animals and bulls from the kingdom as well. They are led from a shed into a tall stone tower. And Nancy runs over to the tower to find out what's going on. The doors are shut. There's a flash of light, and when the doors open, all the animals have disappeared. And Nancy searches the tower. All she sees are the outlines of all the animals on the ground in dust. And Nancy cries. She runs upstairs of the tower and uncovers a book which she feels is the center of the power of the shadow animals. She opens the book. It turns out to be the Book of Night. In it, she sees a vision of what the shadow animals are about covering entire planets, going through the galaxy, covering them with buildings, destroying forests, capturing animals and putting them in cages. She's terrified and then she leaves there, but she is lost. She encounters an old man by a river who says that he has dropped his family heirloom, a sword, into the still river, but he can't swim. And Nancy vows to help him, dives into the river, retrieves the beautiful sword, gives it to the old man, who honors her with a gift, which at first she refuses, but he insists. The gift turns out to be a bag with 7 golden eggs, and he tells Anansi, if you eat a golden egg, you get the power to change shape. Anything that you could imagine you can change into and then change back, but you can only use one change, one egg, one change. And he says a great power, and he gives it to Nancy, and then he also gives her directions to head back to the kingdom. And that, dear people, is where we are right now. That's what has happened in the first 5 chapters, and now we are at chapter 6. The Council of Elders. When Anansi reached back in the middle of the day, she was tired. But the entire forest was not. They were in a clamor, and animals were prattling everywhere. Tiger Cat had challenged the legitimacy of Lion's leadership, blaming Lion for the disappearance of the animals as well as the drought, and blaming it on his mismanagement. Tiger Cat's flyers were now everywhere. Anansi pulled down one from a tree. It was bright orange with a picture of Tiger Cat beaming with his motto at the top, "Make the forest great again." Anansi, seethed with rage, ripped the flyer up, threw it, and made her way to the palace. She had to tell King Lion what she had seen: the tower, the terrifying vision in the book, the dusting of the animals in chains, the confederacy of animals in league with Tiger Cat against the throne, and their complicity with the shadow animals. When she entered the forest throne room, in that dark, empty hall, Lion was alone, sitting on the throne, looking lost in thought. The giant magical saman tree burned without burning behind him, the flames touching nothing. She walked tidily up to him. King Lion looked up at her and said, "You have found something?" "Yes, I have," Anansi said. She then told him everything that she had seen. Lion stood up immediately and paced and growled as she revealed the details. Anansi then said, "I want to call the Council of Elders together and alert them." Lion replied, "But the snakes, rat, hawk, hammerhead, scorpion, cat, they are all on the council. They will automatically know that we are onto them. Are we going to accuse them there?" "No," sighed Anansi. We're not going to let them know that we know of their conspiracy. But we will tell them that we know of the tower. And let's see what they do. Let them make a mistake. Who knows how large this plot is? There might be much more than we know. We have to force them to play their hand." "This is too risky," said Lion, shaking his head. "There must be another way to get the information we need other than alerting our enemies that we know of their crimes. Besides, we have no proof of anything that you say." "Many animals already do not believe you, Anansi. They don't believe you about their dragons and the land of the monsters. Why should the rest of the council believe this and act on it? Gossip has damaged your credibility, Anansi. Gossip has arrived before you in places where you have never been. Animals do not take you seriously anymore, Anansi." Anansi stopped, looked at him, fumed. "How am I supposed to fight gossip? All I can do is live my life. I can't change the shape of the shadow animals are casting from me." Lion rejoined, "That shadow is all most animals know of you, Anansi. You have beaten monsters, but lies can be more dangerous adversaries. The rumors have complicated your position with the council, and the kingdom's decisions are made by the council. So please, tell me, what do you want to do?" Anansi thought and fumed, thought and fumed. "I want to meet the council. We will tell them that an animal has leaked some information about a tower, but we will tell them the wrong location. Let the traitors suspect that they are winning. We have to force Tiger Cat and the shadow animals to get careless. We will tell them just enough to get them to play their hand before time." King Lion thought on this and then said, "Okay, I hope you're right." Anansi sighed. "For the sake of the bats, the bees, and this kingdom, I hope I am right too." Anansi then paused, looked at Lion, and said, Any word from my husband, the prince?" Lion looked at Anansi and walked over to her. "Nothing. But now I have a suspicion about his mission. It was rat, hawk, snake, and scorpion, and cat that voted on that mission." Anansi's eye opened wide and she grabbed her head. No! No! Everything is shadow, she bawled. King Brer Lion consoled her. Do not despair, daughter. My son can take care of himself. But I will have to get word to him to return at once. The mission is false. Let me look into it. Give me a day to call the council together. They said their goodbyes. And Anansi left the cold throne room to go to her empty house to sleep and dream dark dreams. Anansi dreamt she was walking in a dense fog. She could see nothing in front of her or behind. She kept plowing forward to reach a clear place. Many times she thought she heard the prince calling out her name and would follow the voice to no avail. It was a maze of echoes. Sometimes she thought she could see him in the distance in the mist, but every time she reached close to that place where he stood, his shape would disappear into fog. After frustrating herself countless times, Anansi finally realized she was in a dream and stopped and willed herself to wake up. She awoke up with a shudder. She was not rested. The next morning, Brer Dare came to Anansi's house to tell her she was summoned to a meeting of the Council of Elders. Anansi entered the shaded grove with the Council of Elders, all sitting in their bark chairs. On the council, there was a male and female representing every one of the 7 houses of animals. Brer Snake and Sister Snake of the house of reptiles. Brer Cat and Sister Rat of the house of mammals. Brer Hawk and Sister Macaw of the house of birds. Brer Bullfrog and Sister Salamander of the house of amphibians. Brer Hammerhead and Sister Karit of the house of fish. Brer Scorpion and Sister Ant of the house of insects and arachnids. And Brer Crab and Sister Jellyfish of the house of the invertebrates. Lion himself was at the far end of the grove. The elders all turned and stood when Anansi entered, and she was offered the floor to speak as they sat. Anansi told them of the story that she and Lion had discussed. She and Lion watched the reactions of the council members. No one betrayed a thing. They were ice cold. Then she wrapped up her presentation. Before anyone could speak, Brer Dare knocked on the grove's edge, and Lion waved in and "Come in." Dare quickly ran up to Lion and whispered in his ear. "Psst, psst, psst, psst." "What?" Lion shot up. "Excuse me, counsel. I have to deal with an emergency." And with that, Dare and Lion ran out of the room. Anansi could have sworn she saw Brer Snake and Brer Hawk look at one another under their eyes. Sister Snake spoke up. "Anansi, you want this council to launch an investigation into a rumor of an alleged tower on some mountain in the snow we have never heard of, when we have many problems right here in this kingdom to deal with. There are many in the kingdom who consider you a hero, Anansi, but many more who consider you a charlatan and opportunist. It is a very serious matter you are speaking about that will pull scarce resources away from multiple investigations. We have launched into the matter of these very disappearances, some of which are very close to bearing fruit. What does the council think?" Brer Bullfrog spoke up. "These are very serious times, and yes, Although our resources have been stretched, I still think we should at least look into something like this. Breast Scorpion chimed in. But Bullfrog, should we spare resources for every single rumor that comes through this door? What about the rumor that the bats and bees are having a secret party on an island and didn't want to invite anyone else? Should we launch an expedition to find the party island? Sister Karit, who was always cautious and meticulous, added, we also have to think of safety. Although right now it is only bees and bats who have been disappearing, who is to say if we launch a search party in an unexplored region that the whole search party may not themselves disappear, leaving the kingdom more defenseless? Rather than go out and look for trouble, I think we should guard against the trouble that we have right here. Sister Snake chimed in. Yes, I agree. Hawk, who had been listening attentively to all sides, finally cleared his throat and spoke. I actually agree with Anansi. The other members went silent and looked at Hawk. Anansi turned and looked at Hawk too. Hawk looked Anansi in her eyes. I think Anansi's story may just be true. Who's to say? Probably there may be a tower somewhere on a hill where the animals have been kidnapped. I think we must take this allegation very seriously. So serious that I, Hawk, volunteer to lead the mission myself. He was staring right at Anansi. Some of the council members rose up. Jellyfish said, surely you shouldn't risk yourself like that, Hawk replied. Something like this demands a strong team. I would ask Tiger Cat and some of the young bulls to accompany me on a mission like this. Hawk did not stop looking at Anansi straight in her eyes. Bullfrog got up. No, that is a valiant suggestion, Brayhawk. I would second such a mission. Karit rejoined. It is much too risky to send out so many of your champions in regions we are not familiar with, and it leaves us too vulnerable. Let us vote now by secret ballot to determine whether we will entertain Anansi's request. The voting bowl was passed around the table. When it came back to Sister Snake to count, there were 7 red and 7 green leaves in the bowl. It was a tie. And without Lion to break the deadlock, it was good as no. Sister Snake said, the council has spoken. We will do nothing on your requests. Thank you, Anansi. We now move on to our next matter. And with that, Anansi was escorted out of the chamber, seething. She knew now that the fix was in, and she was pretty sure who were the 7 that could not be trusted under council. Outside the chamber, she saw Sister Hummingbird, disconsolate, sitting, waiting to be called in by the council. What is it? Anansi asked Hummingbird. It is us. We have started disappearing too.